It's big, it's mean, and it's a ton of fun, but it's also got a ton of issues, and I'm tired of being quiet about them. Hey there, I'm John. This is Two Brothers RC, and this is the Flex Innovations Twin Otter 80E. I'm gonna have a lot of criticism here, and I want to apologize up front for the first Twin Otter video, because I heavily edited a lot of my frustration out of it. I didn't think it was fair to Flex to be as brutal as I was going to be originally. Then I realized over time that I was doing them no favors by pulling my punches. They need to know where to improve, because this review comes from a good place, even if it's going to be one of the harshest videos you've seen since the X-Fly B1. I feel like Charles Dickens in A Tale of Two Airplanes. It's one of the best planes that I've ever flown. It's also one of the worst planes that I've ever owned. And unfortunately, the worst parts of the Twin Otter come very close to out-shitting the best parts of it. Let's start this video by saying that, while yes, this isn't technically a one-year review, I count it as one because I ordered the plane in November of 2023. So I bought it when it was in stock, yet after I bought it, my order was turned into a back order, and I didn't get the plane until March of 2024, a full 4 months later, after giving Flex an interest-free loan of $800. The floats that I ordered wouldn't even arrive until June, 6 months later. Now, I wouldn't have bought it had I known it was possible for an in-stock item to become back-ordered and end up being stuck waiting months to get what I paid for. That already put me in a sour mood about this plane to begin with, and I pulled my punches in the first review because I figured, hey, maybe they just kind of screwed up once, it's not a big deal, I'll give them a chance. Haha, no. The issues, man, the issues. Where do I even start here? Why am I even having to talk about issues with a plane that has cost me over $1,000 total by this point? The motors have to be my number one problem with this plane. Potenza motors, or at least the ones that I'm flying here, are trash. Literal trash. Flex doesn't even sell this plane with Potenza motors anymore. My first set only lasted like 20 flights until throwing a magnet at the lake in June. And I'm not the only one. This happens so frequently that comment sections about Flex planes are full of complaints about how bad these motors are. Look at this photo of a fellow's Twin Otter that shot the motor bell off mid-flight. Listen to how awful my motor sounded until it just failed in the air.
That doesn't sound good.
I got in touch with Flex and their support guy sent me a new motor. Yeah, that's great, but unfortunately it promptly began to fail after a single flight in early October. I've taken to calling these motors Petrincic because that's where they belong, right in the bin. So I had to go another 175 deep into this plane to fly the recommended dual sky upgrade. Now, that's a really big improvement. That's how a motor is supposed to sound. But why did I have to pay so much money to fix what shouldn't have been a problem to begin with? The first step Flex could do to make this right is to send out the dual sky motor upgrade to every customer who is stuck with the Petrincic motors as a complimentary upgrade, so that everyone who picked up the Twin Otter at release and within the last 6 months won't be stuck paying an extra $175 to fix these horrible motors. I don't know about you, but when I pay $840 for a foam wood hybrid airplane, I expect more than this. Now that we covered the motors, here's my laundry list of issues with my Twin Otter. The paint was flaking off in the packaging, yes, before I even took it out of the box. It continues to flake off to this day. Every time I fly it, I have to repaint random parts of the plane because more paint flakes off of it. This wouldn't be so bad, except it just looks like crap, and I'm certain it's related to the foam quality, which itself is all over the place. Either the foam is smooth or it's covered in alligator skin. There's no in between. Making matters worse, the paint barely adheres to it. You'd better go to Lowe's if you got talked into buying this plane, because you're gonna need a sample-sized jar of latex paint if you don't want to have it look like a plane rescued from the boneyard every time you fly. I've seen better paint on that dumpy Ryan Navion rusting at the airport for the past 10 years. Supposedly Flex is making better quality foam going forward, but on my Twin Otter, none of the stickers applied correctly because the foam is alligatored almost everywhere. The hinges. Good lord, what is happening in here? Why are the hinges failing, Flex? Why are my hinges coming apart after a grand total of 15 flights? It's simply unconscionable. I can't even understand how this is a thing. How do you screw up such an integral part of an airplane so badly and have it be such a common complaint that everyone who buys Flex recommends gluing the hinges yourself? Explain it to me, please. I just don't get it. The motor cowlings are made of super thin plastic and they'll melt even in direct sunlight. I had to get replacements 3D printed. Here's a heat gun pointed at my leg. This didn't even bother me, yet this cheap plastic melted. What? How? The floats make the plane fly worse. Yes, you pay extra for an accessory that limits how well the plane can fly. You can't invert it Harrier with it without it flipping over. I did say that I like the instability that the floats introduce, but thinking about it several months later, this is clearly a design flaw. I can do rolling Harriers and inverted Harrier with other float planes, but only this one is so unstable, even with the battery all the way forward, as to effectively destroy half the flight envelope.
Okay, yeah, I don't think we're going to be doing that either.
No?
It doesn't like it.
Any maneuvers that you do risk crashing because the plane becomes unstable with those massive pontoons attached to it. When I posted about this on the Flex Facebook group, initially they engaged with it and it was pretty cool to see. Then they deleted the post. Customer has been helped? Helped to do what? F*** off? Deleting negative posts from your customers doesn't make them go away. Sometimes they come back in the form of a YouTube video instead. It wasn't even product bashing, it was a public service announcement to save other Twin Otter owners the hassle of crashing their plane. Real jerk move on my part there, huh? Also, the battery tray started to fall apart after 2 flights. I had to glue it back together myself at the field. Why? It absolutely blows my mind that you can be expected to pay over $800 for a plane whose only saving grace is that it flies well, assuming the petrincic motors don't crap out on you. What bothers me the most about this is that I want to like Flex. I want Flex to sell amazing products. I want them to be prosperous and I want Flex to succeed. But one major flaw in my personality is that I get really mad when I see people self-sabotage. I've been in public relations in several companies in my career, and I've been a support lead for a decade now. You don't grow a company by having a reputation for bad quality, no matter how great the product might end up being for the few people who get something that isn't borked up by the factory. Flex stays afloat because they actually do make really good flying airplanes, but they come with a whole host of problems almost every single time. Geek mentioned to me in person that they're improving quality in newer releases, but this Twin Otter isn't exactly old. So why do so many people have so many issues with new Flex products? They have to know this is a problem by now. Come on guys, you can and you should do better than this, especially for how much you're asking us to pay when we're not a Flex dealer that gets a free airplane to make a glorified advertisement. I had a fellow write into me on RC groups and say that way too many Twin Otter pilots are complaining about the motors, servos, and hinges crapping out during flight. Geek and Flex themselves have said that Flex is all about performance, but what kind of performance is it when the plane is at risk of crashing because the factory creating the product for them doesn't seem to care about it? You tell me. Look, I want to like Flex, and that's what makes me so irritated here. Flex sells foam planes that fly almost like balsa, but apparently the trade-off for that is unglued hinges, paint that flakes off when you touch it, fly it, or even look at it, substandard plastic parts, motors that throw magnets after one flight in summer, floats that completely destroy half of the flight envelope, and incredibly high prices for what's essentially a Dynam-level product. I want to see Flex succeed, so they've got to step this up. And if a Two Brothers video is what it takes for them to get there, then hey, I'll take all the hate that I'll inevitably get for speaking my opinion about the situation with Flex. One thing I do stand by in my original review of this plane is that nothing flies better. It's astonishing how well this plane flies. Flex really does have some good designers. If Horizon FMS and Freewing could take some design cues from Flex on the aerodynamic side of things, we'd see every plane fly insanely good. And you know what? Even though I really laid into this plane, I still love it. I can't tell you anything else. I absolutely love this plane. And I'd be super upset if I ever crashed it, which, assuming the hinges and servos don't crap out or a motor doesn't throw a magnet, which is super unlikely, the plane is so slow and floaty that you'd really have to have some dumb thumbs to wreck it. The one design flaw that it has is that it can and it will pitch over violently in a hover with flaps dropped, as seen in some footage from my friend Closis in Switzerland. It even happened to me, and the flaps were barely active. Fortunately, there was no damage, and it went right back up. All I had to do was repaint it yet again.
It's fine.
Looks alright.
The way this thing flies can be shown on video, but it can't really be experienced until you're on the sticks flying it. The damn thing feels like an extension of your mind. I know that people love the Aura system, but I'm going to tell you right now, I don't care how good a flight controller is. If I can't adjust it from my transmitter, and if it requires me to use a laptop to adjust it, I'm taking it out of my plane. I don't have the patience or the interest in bringing my laptop to tune it, and I don't care for the way the Aura system is programmed. I've never flown this with Aura, and I never will. I flew it originally on a Spectrum 8360T receiver using AS3X. Now it's flying on AS3X Plus, and I'm really loving how it handles, especially with the flaps program to stabilize the plane in both roll and pitch. Here's the gyro setup for anyone curious. 1x master gain, 25 roll, 50 pitch, 30 yaw. 100 priority on all axes. 40 roll lock rate, all other axes and release rates are default. I don't have the time or even the space in my hangar to dive into a setup video on this plane, but I can give you my gains and the transmitter file, which is uploaded on the Two Brothers Discord server in the Spectrum Radio Setups channel. If you come into the server and you ask where it is, that's where we're going to tell you to find it, Spectrum Radio Setups channel. If you want to skip the Aura system entirely, which I highly recommend that you do, swing by Discord and pick up the transmitter file. Aside from being unstable in upright Harrier, which you can fix with the Harrier mix on my setup file, there's very little that it won't do, and if you can put up with all the bullshit, you'll probably be in that weird position I am, where you rant about how much you can't stand most of this plane, but you deal with it anyway, because nothing else flies this good. Hey, Flex, look, I know it's a hard pill to swallow when some clown with a YouTube channel calls you out, but please don't take the banana hobby approach and drop a 10-paragraph hate mail in my comments. I meant it when I said that this video comes from a good place. It's undeniable by anyone arguing in good faith that this plane flies well. What sucks is that Flex planes feel like a character creation screen in a role-playing game. Agility is permanently stuck on 10 and your durability and quality control are set to 1. Like, what the f***? I get that this is a small company. I work for a small company myself. When there's glaring issues and people keep complaining about them, you focus on improving those issues because it's the right thing to do and because people are literally handing over tons of money for product. Hop on Discord and share your thoughts with us, and grab the Spectrum radio setup there too. Links to buy any equipment I used in this video are in the description below. I don't make any money featuring this plane outside of ad revenue. We're not affiliated with Flex, we're not Flex dealers, and we have no interest in selling Flex or dealing Flex. So if you like what you see, swing by the Two Brothers merch shop and pick up a sweet new Does It Cobra sticker. And hit that super thanks button if you think more YouTube videos need this level of brutal honesty if something actually calls for it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys again next week.